Hey there, I'm Kathy Mazak, and this video is about a concept that I introduced in my book, Making Time to Write, called your soaring state. Now, you might have heard people talk about flow state or that kind of thing, and soaring state is very similar. It's our language that we use to talk about creating an experience of feeling uplifted and kind of driven and energized in your actual writing sessions. Now, the reason that I came up with this term for that feeling, that soaring state, and then we call the session that has a soaring state, we call that a soaring session. So the reason that I kind of identified for myself soaring state was that I found that there were certain hours of the day that for me personally, I could like move mountains during those hours. But if I tried to write at different times of day, especially like after lunch, between like really like 1 and 4, it was like a complete disaster. Like I couldn't focus. And so I tried to, in my book, explain this idea of your soaring state and how you can use it to get words on the page with more ease. So some people, though, and that's what this video is about, some people are like, but I don't have a soaring state. Like I never feel like there's a certain time of day that I have a soaring state. So I already feel like I'm just a failure and I can't do this, which is totally understandable. So in the book, I go through some troubleshooting of the soaring state concept, right? I talk about in the book how the soaring state might feel different at different times in your life and depending on your health and many other things. And also that some people just don't feel the soaring state. So in our program Navigate, we teach 3 different ways to create the soaring state. So we teach the way that's in the Making Time to Write book. And then we also teach, and in our program, we support you we hand you co-writing sessions. We actually call them soaring sessions because what we found is that people, whether they have that soaring state or not, can get that soaring feeling by coming and writing alongside of community. And so the co-writing session itself is a substitute for having like natural ups and downs in your energy. The co-writing session is meant to give you that energy by putting you in community with other people and giving you like a time to like sit down and write together. And often doing it with other people gives you that uplifted feeling, that feeling of being able to concentrate that maybe is harder when you're by yourself. And in our Navigate program, those co-writing sessions are, we're muted during those sessions. Like it's not distraction-y. Like it's really meant to help you feel support, but not distraction, right? So we have created that for you inside of our Navigate program, but also like if you are like, wow, I just really don't have a soaring state, then what I suggest you do is find a partner or a friend or somebody, they could even be on the other side of the world, and use some online software like Zoom to get together. If you can't, if your friend isn't nearby, so you can't physically meet together. If you can physically meet together, it would be awesome to do something like get a room in the library on your campus and have a writing date where you come with your laptops and you sit and write together. You could also do that in a conference room or, someplace where you're not going to get interrupted a lot is the key there. So don't feel discouraged if you don't find the soaring state. Remember too, like that so much of the chapter that is about soaring state is really about like you taking control of when you write. So put the soaring state concept aside and look at what the chapter tells you about how to make room for writing, right? So some of the things that I mentioned in that chapter are like, if you know that so one of the things that I did, so as an example, right? So I knew my soaring state was in the morning between 8 and 11. So something that totally changed my writing practice was that I stopped teaching between 8 and 11. And I put my classes in the afternoon because like I would get excited to see my students. So even if I was at a lull time in my kind of energy for the day, I would always be excited to like enter the classroom and talk to my students. So if I taught at 1 or 2, it was great because I got my morning energy towards my writing, and then this kind of the energy I get from my students for teaching. So that was like a conscious decision around my schedule that I made because I could identify my soaring state. So let's say that you can't feel a soaring state. And let's say that you don't, have a co-writing relationship with anybody, and you don't join Navigate, and you just want to, do better, like have writing time that you cherish, right? That you honor. Then you can still use the concepts in that soaring state chapter in terms of how you clear the way for the soaring state. But instead, you just pick your hours. So if like a lot of times people like just pick first thing in the morning or first thing in the morning when you get to work, right? So if you can't feel a soaring state, or if you don't have a co-writing relationship with anybody, just pick the time that you would like. When you think about your day, just pick the time you would like to be writing. And then, put that on your calendar. In Navigate, we teach you how to create an ideal calendar so you can figure out a lot of this stuff. Put that on your calendar and then work towards making that your kind of protected writing time. So there's also lots of troubleshooting information in the chapter about your soaring state. But if you can't find your soaring state, it doesn't mean that the rest of the book is irrelevant, right? Like just pick a time, any time that you really want to feel like, connected to your writing and that you want to keep for writing. It does not have to be every day. And I explain that a lot of detail in the book about why every day backfires for a lot of people. And just choose a time and then work through the rest of the concepts in the book in order to hold that writing time for you. So soaring state or not, you're going to be developing a better relationship with your writing by honoring a writing time and getting that on your calendar and showing up for that writing and for yourself, when you say that you're going to. So we would love to support you in doing that in Navigate. But really, like, no matter what, keep reading the book, get to the end, like, don't get hung up on the soaring state part, because really the concept of soaring state is one that I think is helpful, but you don't have to have a soaring state in order to take control of your writing and make it the center of your career. All right. Thanks for your question. Bye.